Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 after 9, this is the final hour of the Situation Room this week. Thank you very much for keeping it locked here on KTN, on Spice FM, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, on Radio Garden, all the platforms that we broadcast in every morning, reaching people from not just Nairobi, but across the globe. We are glad that you are tuned in. Asanteni sana. Sitting. Ebu just remind everybody that we are giving them 3,000 shillings if they subscribe to Safaricom Home Fiber. And what is Home Fiber?
Yes, let me just start with how you subscribe. Star 400 hash.
Yes.
Kishafika hapo. One of the things that you will then do, you will go to your phone because that's where the hash and the star will feature.
And then
well, why we are talking about this is because of the immense benefits that you get from it. The thing about internet for the longest time was the speed. Somebody would say they have internet, but when you switch on your gadget, you take a walk, go and drink some tea, come back, then you're able to access it. But they're saying with this home fiber, the one thing you're guaranteed is increased speed. Depending on whatever you chose, if you have the bronze and what you had been given before was 10 Mbps, you now get 15. You don't have to do anything.
yeah,
You just get it.
automatic.
If you're on 20, a bump. If you are on 30, a bump. If you're essentially, you will get more speed. It's really not complicated. Whether you were somebody who's renewing or whether you're someone who has is just a new consumer of the product, you will enjoy the same privileges.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. So 3,000 shillings if you can send us a screenshot of your latest transaction, whether you've renewed your payment to Safaricom Home Fiber or you have subscribed to Safaricom Home Fiber. Send us a screenshot on Spice FM KE on X or on Facebook. You go and send us a message. We are going to select one person who will receive 3,000 shillings worth of airtime, courtesy of Safaricom. Something that you talked about yesterday, Anki Doris, and you were able to subscribe to Loop.
Yes.
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 But you see the Lu, now you see the L, you see what the L means.
Yeah, I see the L. It's a lifestyle. I'm a chain person. Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, I'm looping. Yeah, I love it. It's orange.
L
It's my
is
favorite.
love, lovely, lifestyle.
Yeah.
Luo. All mean the same thing, don't they?
Oh, yes, they do. I fall in those categories.
They all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
It makes your life much easier, right? When you subscribe to Loop. Download it today on your App Store or Play Store. Our next conversation is going to be about hospitality. And, you know, you have seen the Boma International Hospitality College. You've even heard of the Boma International Hospitality College students who are going globally and winning international awards. And you're like, Allah,
Yes.
Allah, right? Now, the director of the Boma International Hospitality College, who's also the CEO of the Boma Pan-African Limited, is Dr. Abbas Gullet, OGW, MBS, kila kitu. Acha tukuongeza AGH. Itakuja. Mashujaa days, just a few days from now, right? Daktari, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Eric, I'm good.
Hey, it's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah? You have been a very busy person, but then you went underwater for a while, and now we are seeing you emerging here. What have you been up to since the last time we saw you in your very, very active days in Red Cross, and now you're in Boma?
My active days, 6 years ago, I decided to take a break and retire from Kenya Red Cross, which had been there for about 15 years. But I've been with the Red Cross now to close to over 50 years. So I took a back seat, and the board of the Kenya Red Cross asked me if I could manage their commercial entities. As you're aware, they had been running businesses, hotel, the Boma brand of group of hotels, Emergency Medical Plus Services, which is an ambulance company, Switch Television, and and BIHC, Boma International Hospitality College. So I've been quietly the last 6 years behind the scenes running that out of Dusit, but more recently this year I came back to South Sea, so where I'm based, and it's been quiet, but quite active in doing something totally new, something interesting, something where quietly you could make impact from a different perspective than what I've done over many years of the Red Cross, Red Crescent work.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get into that Boma International Hospitality College conversation shortly. Where we'll be talking about the Ladha za Africa and what that means.
Sure.
But City will first give you the day's proverb. Have you been to Morocco, Abbas?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Hey, you're a man
There's
who's
one
well-
place,
you're a
one
man
place
who's
I've
very well
not been.
traveled.
There was many years I was supposed to go there, then something happened and I didn't go. But it's in my itinerary that I should go to Morocco.
Don't
because
worry.
Lots of friends.
Today, City will transport you to Morocco.
Okay.
Because this week he's been giving us proverbs from Morocco.
Okay.
He's been telling us about the king. The king is number 6.
The 6th, Mohammed.
He's Mohammed the Sixth. You know the thing about
A rich man.
he's actually genuinely wealthy. That dynasty began in the 8th century. So it's not one of these fly-by-night dynasties that came just the other day. Okay, but he is, as I said in the previous hour, not a ceremonial monarch. He is actually
He's an absolute monarch.
he's an executive monarch. Yes, he is the commander of the faithful. He's the commander of the Moroccan Armed Forces. He's the head of the Supreme Council of the Judiciary.
Wow.
Yes, it is he who decides who the prime minister will be from the party that wins an election. He decides on the ministries that the country has, and he can remove or add ministries. He can also terminate the life of parliament. And as I said in the previous, I'm saying it again. African leaders listening to this saying, why did we choose democracy?
The proverb?
They begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
They begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
Yes.
Dr. Goulet, what do you think this proverb is saying?
They begin as neighbors and they end up as mice. Wow. I'm actually at a loss.
Ameanza kama jirani, anamalizia kama panya.
Wow. Hiyo ni kali. That one is a tough one. Well,
Give it a try.
we have, I don't know whether I equate it to our current situation in our country. Because walikuwa majirani, walikuwa marafiki, sasa wamekuwa dunia ingine. Hawaonani, hawasikizani sasa.
That is a very good. You know, the beauty, we say this in every hour, the beauty of interpreting the proverb, or asking our guests to do so, is the diversity they bring into the interpretation. Yes.
That's true. That's true. And it's relative, actually.
Yeah.
You can relate, you can see where it's going. Now, we have heard of the Boma Hospitality College.
Yes.
There are people who don't know the international bit of it. Boma International Hospitality College, there's what it talks about, there's what it means. You'll tell us more about it. What we have seen is we see, students from Boma Hospitality College have won awards. Boma Hospitality College, where are they? Are they based at the Boma Hotel? Where exactly is this college? What do they teach? What do they teach? So just introduce us to this. Boma International Hospitality College, what is it?
So if you recall, Latif, some years ago, Kenya Red Cross started getting into commercial businesses. And about 20 years ago, and people were a bit crazy saying, why
is Red
humanitarian
Cross doing
organization
business?
getting into businesses? And at the time, my message was that Red Cross is a humanitarian organization, relies on public funding and government funding, relies on international funding from UN agencies and donor governments, but at the same time, it was not reliable. Within its constitution, nothing stopped it from seeking to raise funds locally from the local population, from the government, but also for them to get to do businesses. And they could do business as long as every penny that you made, whether it's profit or a dividend, then it goes back to the humanitarian work of the Red Cross. So we started with the hotel business of the Boma group of hotels that we have 3 today in Kenya. Then we went to the ambulance business, which was more related to the core business of the Red Cross, but also there were commercial ambulance services. The third one was then the school, which is what I will talk about in a minute. And the final one was a TV station called Switch TV. Now, while on one hand the idea was to raise resources, and if you made profit, you give it back to the Red Cross for its humanitarian work. Because every time there's a disaster, people expect the Red Cross would respond. But then people wonder, where do you get the resource to respond to these emergencies? So before you even went to the government, before you launch an appeal, before you go to the public, you are ready to start. Because when disasters occur, you need to respond now and now. So that is the idea of setting up these businesses with a clear mind that should you make money, every penny will go back to the Red Cross for its humanitarian work. So that's how the business was started, and I can talk about each of them eventually. But going specifically to Boma International Hospitality College, the precursor to it was the hotel. When we set up the hotel, in 2007, which President Kibaki opened the first one, which was Boma Inn Hotel. And then when we go to the 5-star one, Nairobi Boma, again in 2013, it was President Kibaki who also officially commissioned it. We had a problem in recruiting staff. So the staff, we had to poach from other hotels all over the country. And when we brought them together, we had a challenge to develop a culture of the Boma culture. If you talk about Serena Group of Hotels or Sarova, they have their own tradition and culture because of their many years of existence. They have inculcated their culture. You go to Pakistan, you see Serena there, the culture is the same as here. You go to Maputo, the same as here. So we wanted to have the Boma culture. And one of our CEO at the time told me, old man, if you really want to have the Boma culture, then my advice would be to start a school. And I said, a school? He said, yes. And I said, but there's other schools in the country. He said, the more the merrier. And on the other hand, there are a lot of Kenyans of means who would take their kids abroad to Switzerland because it would say that's global home of hospitality. So I was very happy to take up the challenge, and within a short time we set up in 2015 Boma International Hospitality College. We partnered with a Swiss school initially, and in May 2015 was our first intake of 37 students, or the first class of intake. Today, 9.5 years later, the rest is history. We get about 650 to 700 annually now as an intake. And we do 3 intakes in a year. We do January, we do May, and we do September. And from the humble beginning of 37 Kenyan students, today we have had over 30 African nationalities who send their kids to our school. And the numbers are increasing, and the offering is increasing. We offer 2 diplomas. It's a 2-year course of diploma in culinary arts and in hotel management. The diplomas we offer is Kenyan diploma through TVET, and we offer a Swiss diploma through our partners in Switzerland. So we're saying kids don't have to go to Switzerland and pay $35,000 to $50,000 annually, whereas you could come to Nairobi and as an African student for $10,000, you would get the same education, same curriculum, same diploma. Or if you're a Kenyan, then you pay roughly about 500,000 Kenyan shilling, you'd get the same diploma. After 2-year training here.
So do you get the 2 at the same time?
You get the 2 at the same time.
So when you graduate, you get a Kenyan diploma and a Swiss diploma.
And a Swiss diploma at the same time. And that is the advantage that we have of any other school in this country and on the continent because of the relationship we have with our Swiss partners. Now, it's a pathway also. So when the kids do their diploma here, 2 years, then they can go and do their degree 1 year in Switzerland Or you do it here in Kenya with Kenyan universities. We have Malaysian universities. We're now negotiating with South African universities. We're offering our students as wide variety as possible, that within 3 years or max 4 years, for example, now with USIU, they will do 1 year progression. With Strathmore, they will do a 2-year progression. With Malaysia, they would do a 2-year progression. We are discussing with UK universities, which will do 1-year progression. So again, in 3 years, someone has a degree in hotel management or in culinary arts, whichever line they choose, and that's done here. So in the 9 years we've been existent, we have graduated over 4,000 students. And today you can find the footprint of BIHC, Boma International Hospitality College, in all the 5 continents of the world. People who have been through this school who are now working out there globally, apart from those who are working here in the country, working in this continent, but also globally in the US, in Europe, in Asia Pacific, and we're very happy with the outcome so far.
I'm curious, what is this culture that you wanted to inculcate that would be specific to Boma?
The Boma culture. The Boma culture will be unique to Boma, just like I said about other brands of groups of hotels. When we service above all. So when you come to Boma, you would feel at home, you feel most welcome, you feel you are wanted, respected, valued as a customer, and that the young people appreciate the job they have, the training they've had, the knowledge they have, and putting the customer above all others, so that the person can come back and back and back to this hotel and these facilities. Our idea was in the long run to grow and become Pan-African. So in all the 4 businesses that we have set up, whether it's a school, whether it's the hotel, whether it's the ambulance business, or even the TV station, was to make them Pan-African in the long run. But they're all focusing around young people too. When I was with Red Cross, one of the major challenges I had in the many years I was with Red Cross was the issues to do with young people. And today we're seeing manifesting itself in Gen Zs and many other things. A lot of young people felt unappreciated, unwelcomed, and many of these we can say. If you look at this country and you look at the continent, over 70% of the population is below 35 years of age. This is the youngest country in terms of population, it's the youngest continent in terms of population. Yet they are the bulk in the Red Cross, Red Crescent, they're the bulk of the workforce, both boys and girls, young men, young women, and women are the majority in terms of membership. But they are not out there in the leadership. They don't feel appreciated, not feel recognized. We can call them Al-Shabaab, you can call them Boko Haram, you can call them all the mannerism you want to call them. But what was the major issue? The major issue, they feel unwelcome, they feel unwanted, unappreciated. And if now what manifests ourselves in our country, and I don't want to go there because I don't want to get into those discussions. If we appreciated them, if our economies and countries were well managed, well governed, we won't be where we are today. These young people who die in the desert, in the Sahara Desert, who die in the Mediterranean Sea, called migrants. What are they running away from? They're running away from poverty and economic hardship in our continent. Because we as leaders and as parents and grandparents, we have mismanaged these countries to the extent that these young people parents have to sell everything they're left with to give one child a chance to go make it big time in the global north, which many times it ends up for young people. If we educate them, they have even a basic diploma, Kenyan diploma, Swiss diploma. Now they're going to Europe through the front door and not the back door. Okay? They don't have to bribe anyone to get these jobs because now jobs are looking after them. Employers are looking for them. In the Middle East, in the Caribbean, in North America, in Europe, Europeans would want qualified, educated people to go through the front door. We had migration 500 years ago of European coming to Africa and to the rest of the world. Now it's a reverse migration where we're looking for greener pastures on the other end. Yet it's not that green. It's more green still in Africa. But because we have failed these young people as leaders, as government, as politicians, as businessmen, businesswomen, then obviously we're in the chaos or mess that we are in today. So doing this school for me was the best thing that happened. To look at these young people, to look at how, well they're doing it, wherever we've sent them today. They go to the U.S. after they graduate from here. They go to the U.S. on what we call J1 visa, so they can go and work for 1 year in some of the best restaurants, some of the best hotels, some of the best golf clubs and lodges for 1 year. They come back, then they can go back again to the U.S. and Canada if they want to, or go to Europe. So again, through the front door. And for me, that has been the different, Eric, which for me is really satisfying to see that even with a diploma, the global market for hospitality, we saw after COVID, it was terrible. But now it's opened up again.
Yep.
There are cruise liners, ships coming to the Kenyan coast every day looking for people to hire. We don't have enough to give them. And this is where the government should be putting measures in place to as many people who have the qualification who want to go work abroad. You look at Philippines, a country that specializes in labor migration, where they send people globally to go and work, and they bring back resources. Today, you are told that the revenues coming to this country from Kenyan diaspora is much higher than agriculture and tourism. Okay? So how do you grow that space? Through this kind of schools and institutions, you can grow. And we're not competing locally, we're competing globally. Because the competition is out there. Sometimes we are so inward focused that we look at smaller picture, not the global bigger picture.
So we forget about what's out there. So the job market is global.
Yes.
And what you're training at the Boma International Hospitality College is for the global market.
Precisely.
So how do you harmonize that curriculum? How do you know what the global market is looking for? And how do you compact that into 2 years of training?
So by partnering, first of all, with the Swiss Hospitality School, they have their global program, curriculum, which has been approved at their level, and we use the same here. The beauty of education is that today, if you remember what the late Professor Magoha used to say when he was Minister for Education and Honorable Matiangi, they talked about our type of education that we offer. And where a lot of young people come out with lots of degrees and even PhDs, but out there in the market, they're unemployable. Okay? So our curriculum and our program is such that it is competency-based education. It's all about hands-on knowledge and no theories. A lot of universities here offer degrees, even in hospitality. But these young people have never been inside a hotel or inside a kitchen, inside a bedroom to know what to do. Okay? But in our context, it's simply on competency-based. The TVET one, so we follow the TVET curriculum. We are regulated by TVET. So we are the Center of Excellence for Hospitality and Hotel Management and Culinary Arts. This school is recognized by TVET, probably the only one. We are ISO 2015 certified. We have just been recognized recently as polytechnic status, would be the first private polytechnic in Kenya. They're now working through cabinet to have that thing formalized. We are now a center for recognition of prior learning. There are people with lots of skills, hands-on skills, but don't have the paper qualification. So we've been recognized by TVET as a center for recognition of prior learning. So today we can get people and train them the theory aspect to link to their practice so that they now have formal education, if we call it formal, so they can have that. But so the curriculum is such that you are doing a diploma, it's a 2-year, you come in the first year, you are in class for 2 semesters or 2 terms. The 3rd term, you go out now to work in the industry for a particular whole term. You come back term 4 and 5, you're in our hotel. So we have 2 hotels within the complex of the school. You have a 3-star hotel and a 5-star hotel in Boma. And that's the way I think the best practice they can get. The next term, 6th term, they go out again to practice in some of the 5-star hotels around the country or regionally. So is very much hands-on training.
Yeah.
All right.
Skills-based training is what we are giving. And after the 2 years, then they examine both practical and theory, and they pass. Then they continue with their education. Yeah.
Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation shortly at 29 minutes to 10. Dr. Abbas Gulet is our guest today. He is currently the CEO of the Boma Pan-African Limited and director of the Boma International Hospitality College, which we're talking about today. I'm sure, Dr. Gulet, with all this recognition, and now that you're working with TVETA closely, you also, and just by your own nature, you're involved in trying to see how even other colleges that are offering hospitality are able to match up in terms of the quality of the students that they produce. I'll ask you that question after this break.
I will too.
You'll ask the same.
Yes.
In fact, you will ask the question. And as we go to the break then, Anki Doris,
Yes.
tell us about the Aga Khan 53 outlets.
Oh, yes. And when we said it earlier on, of course, your greatest wealth is your health, so take care of it and guard it the best you can. But we said there are 54, except those, of course, the main one. But because they're not just clinics where you get a nurse and a clinical officer, you actually have a neurologist, you have an oncologist, you have a dentist, you have a nutritionist. They're all there, one stop, but now this time just closer. So Aga Khan is, of course, reminding you that you are able to first check your health, whether you're not feeling any migraine or headache, go there and just check yourself. But also if you're feeling any of those symptoms, you have that Aga Khan clinic right next to you. But there's a special one in Roysambu, where we can also have some minor surgery. So if you're somewhere along Thika Road, please just holla and go check out, of course, that particular hospital and the clinics that have come near you. Take advantage of that. Aga Khan giving you the quality medical services near you now.
This is the Situation Room, the only way